Hello, and welcome to Mom's Legacy Kitchen. I decided to do this little video blog for my children and to honor my mom. I've been doing a lot of thinking about what made me remember my mom the most. What were my best memories of my mom? And they were of her in the kitchen. I didn't cook much with my mom, but I did watch her cook, and I would sit on the little stool and watch her, and she'd let me taste. And so I'm going to make some of my mom's favorite recipes, or the ones that I love the most that my mom would make. And some of them I'm going to do by myself. Some of them I'm going to do with my kids. There's going to be other stuff, other videos that have to do with homemaking of some kind, whether it's landscaping or yard work or crafts or whatever. So this is my first video. So we are going to try and see what we can do. Tonight I'm making breaded pork tenderloin, which was one of my favorite dishes growing up. It's super simple. There's not a lot of ingredients, and people will come over and I'll make it for them, and they'll give me a look before they try it, and then they try it, and there's never any leftovers. So everybody likes it. It is just pork tenderloin. You can get it from any grocery store. And I'm going to make mashed potatoes with it. Now, I've already peeled the potatoes and rinsed them. So I'm going to cut them. I'm going to show you how I cut them, because size matters when you're going to mash potatoes. We're going to trim the pork tenderloin. We're going to cut it. We're going to smash it. We're going to dredge it. We're going to fry it. So I'm going to start with my potatoes. Now, I have a great big knife, which I happen to love. It is a Cutco knife. Personally, you can't go wrong with Cutco. So these were honking potatoes, like humongous. I like them this size. I got these at Costco, so they could have been like large baking potatoes or something. But you want them all about the same size. If they get too small, they'll cook faster than the rest, and you'll have soggy potatoes and good potatoes. So if there's little ends like this, I just don't keep them. I do use a garbage bowl. I don't know if anybody does this. I highly recommend it, only because you don't have to walk to the garbage can 500 times when you're cooking. So I'm going to cut all these potatoes real fast and then get back to you. I just cut into this potato, and it's kind of icky, but I'm still going to try to salvage as much as I can. We are in quarantine right now, so I'm trying not to go shopping every other day. So I'm just going to cut this little piece off. See, that's all good. And then I'm only losing this little bit. So I'm going to do the same thing here. This one's a little thinner. I cut it. So let's see. Yep, that works. That one I'm going to throw away, and the rest are fine. So when you find potatoes, or you get potatoes that are bad, don't just throw away the whole potato. If there's parts of it that you can save those parts. Even if it's not for this, you can use it as compost in your garden if you grow a vegetable garden or something like that. Heck, if you made homemade dog food, you can put it in your homemade dog food. So the only time that I throw it away is if it's really bad. That's it. Cut. So I've chopped and put water in the pot. I put water about 1 inch above my potatoes. I'm going to salt the water. I like the pink Himalayan salt. I'm going to use about a teaspoon, which is about that. I don't usually use scoop spoons. I don't know what I'm trying to say right now. Wrong one. As always, I always do the wrong one every single time. I'm going to turn them on like medium here. I got a big burner, so they'll cook faster. And I'm going to put the lid on. If you want your potatoes to cook faster, use a lid. You'll boil the water faster. And then once it starts to boil, before it boils over, if you take it and go like that, you won't have it all over your stove. So I'm going to boil them fast. I do want to just show you what pots I'm cooking in tonight. I'm cooking in this cast iron, which is, I don't know, probably 100 years old. I have no idea, honestly. It was my mom's. And I remember as a little kid, she would cook with that, and I'm pretty sure it was her mom's. So, but I'm not 100% sure. And then this one is my Aunt Diane's. She passed away a few years ago, and it was one of the things that I took from her house, and I use them 4 times a week. I love my cast iron pans. They're not so easy to clean, So hopefully I'm going to watch a video somewhere here and re-season these pans because I know there's a way to do it with salt. So I'll check that out. But while these are cooking, we're going to go on the other side of the kitchen and we are going to show you how to do the pork tenderloin. So now we're on to the pork tenderloin. I'm going to defat it. I don't know what you call that. And I'm going to take the silver skin off. I like this knife. This is my Cutco knife. Be careful. It will cut your arm off. But I love the Cutco knives. It was a big investment, but I've already had a knife replaced. I gotta not look at you when I'm cutting this. Now on pork tenderloin, I'm gonna show you something real fast here. There's silver skin. A lot of people don't even know what it is. When I was getting my Cutco knives sharpened, the kid that was here, and I say kid, and I mean kid, he was like 22. So he was here and I told him, I said, I really want a different knife for doing this exact thing, for this meal. Because see right here, this is silver skin and you have to get under it. Otherwise you get rid of all of your meat and you don't want to do that. And you can just pull it once you get it, like that. Now I will say this knife works pretty good, but they actually have one that is, it's not meant for this, but it almost acts like it's meant for this. It's bendable, so you can get in. It's a fish knife, is what it is. They have a knife. It's really thin and it's bendable, and it gets right under there, and you can pull it off really easy. Silver skin doesn't break down in frying or cooking, even on the grill. If anybody has chicken thighs on the grill, you'll know that sometimes that silver skin that the butcher leaves on them, you'll be like, what is in my mouth? And that's what it is. It's the silver skin. So you definitely want to get rid of that on your pork tenderloins. So I'm going to clean off both of my pork tenderloins here. We are in lockdown right now, right? Quarantine, COVID-19. So I have a house full of people home, 6 people home Monday through Sunday, every day, eating 3 meals a day and snacks. And I'm cooking a lot, which is where this idea came from to have this video. Okay, that was a little bit too much meat. See there? I cut too deep, which is why you really need a bendy knife, and then you won't cut too deep and lose that meat. Now you don't need every piece of fat off, but it should look pretty good because of how we're gonna cut it. So you do one, and then I'm going to do the other. I have a whole Cutco set. I got mine with scissors. It comes with steak knives. It comes with a little fork that I'm going to use later. I do have other knives too, just because as my husband calls me, the tornado. I like to use every dish in the house when I cook. The more, the better. I feel like it makes my food taste better when I use lots of dishes. But I also use a lot of dishes because I'm not the one who does the dishes. So when you're not the one who does the dishes, you don't mind using lots of dishes. My husband does the dishes, and now one of my daughters helps often to do the dishes. Katya is usually the one in the kitchen with Richard doing dishes. This is a weird one. Okay, let's see what we got here. Oh, there we go. So I'm going to get, this one has fat on top of, like a lot of fat on top of the silver skin. So I'm going to take the fat off first, just so it's easier for me. And then I'm going to take the silver skin off. Now, if anybody knows a better way to do this, I'm open for suggestions. Put your comments below the video. Make sure that you're sharing my video with your friends because I want to be internet famous. No, I don't. I'm actually doing this just so my kids can remember me. Like, I don't know, there's something about, I was just telling them on a break from this that I can't remember what my mom looks like. If I don't look at a picture, I can't picture her in my mind anymore. Now, it has been a long time. I was 19 when my mom passed away. So it has been a really long time. This is a really weird butcher cut. I don't know, I don't like this. Let me use this one. This one has a nice, really sharp tip. This is a Pampered Chef knife that I really love. But this is like a very thick piece of fat here, which I normally don't see on this cut of meat. I'm kind of disappointed. I don't know if, is this in the shot? Like, it's a really thick piece of fat here. So I'm kind of struggling a little bit. Oh boy, I'm just gonna cut a big chunk off. I don't even know if I can. It's not bone, but it almost feels like there's bone in it. So I'm gonna kind of destroy it a little bit because I want to get this off. It's bugging me now. Now I'm mad. So let's just go like this. There we go. This is where that other knife would come in handy. See, this is all just fat right here. And for what we're doing, if I was cooking it on the grill, I wouldn't care so much. But with what we're doing with it, I can't have all this fat. Now, if you don't like to touch raw meat, this is not the meal for you. Touching raw meat doesn't bother me. Most of my kids, it drives them crazy. They can't do it. They gag. They convulse. It could be one or two of my kids, maybe the ones I'm looking at right now that are helping me out with this video. I'll keep your name silent. This is such a weird, I've never seen anything like that. Okay, so we're gonna see if we can fix it. Let's see. Okay, so then once it's cut, I'm gonna make pieces like that. Yeah, see, that goes right through the middle. Let's see if it'll work. Okay, so I'm gonna cut both of them just like that. I don't know, maybe an inch. We're gonna pound them down. Okay, let's see now. So let me get this cut and then I'm gonna show you what I do with it. Okay, there's probably a nicer way to do it, or all professional chefs probably do it so sweet and so nice. I'm not like that. I just get in there, make a mess. I enjoy cooking. I enjoy it even more when I put it on the table and my kids are like, oh, Mom, this is so good. I also like to entertain, and I like to cook when I entertain a lot. So some of the videos I do are going to be entertainment food, like stuff that I would make for a crowd. I like when people request certain things. Okay, I'm gross, so I'm gonna wash my hands really fast and then I'm gonna come right back to this. So now I've cut all the meat and I take parchment paper, and you can use it whole like that. I actually just cut it a little bit like this. I'm gonna use all the pieces usually. You put one on the bottom, all the pieces, not pages, they're not pages, they're pieces. I do use parchment paper instead of wax paper. The wax paper seems to disintegrate so fast and I have to keep getting more. So I use this. I use a mallet, and it's got the pokey side and the non-pokey side. I use the non-pokey side. This is where if you are mad at your husband or your children, you will get great therapy. You bang it, and you bang it hard. And when you're banging, you're pushing like this because you want it to get a little bigger and a little fatter. Okay, a little bit more. I'm going to do a couple more. I know it's loud for you guys, but I want you to see it, and then I'll bang the rest and you won't see. So we want it like this. Can you see that? It's just really thin. It's only going to take a second to fry. I'm going to do the rest of this meat and I'll be right back with you. So my potatoes finished up while we were waiting, while I was pounding the meat. So I'm going to mash the potatoes real fast because not mashing them and leaving them hot keeps them cooking and makes them a little soggy. So I'm going to go ahead and mash them up. Now, one of my daughters is dairy-free, not by choice, but by allergy. So I do everything that has dairy in it. I do the same version for her, but dairy-free. So I took some potatoes out of the main potato pot, and I'm going to mash those first. I use a dairy-free butter substitute, and I use a dairy-free cream cheese. And if I have to add a little milk, we do have lactose-free milk, which she's still allergic to, but not as bad as other stuff. But if I only use like a tablespoon in it, it's not a big deal. If I use more than a tablespoon, we have some issues. So I'm gonna do these first. I'm gonna put, because I only have a little, I'm just gonna scoop two tablespoons maybe? I don't know. I don't really measure anything. I'm kind of a fly by the seat of my pants. Yeah. Some things, if I'm baking, I measure, because isn't that like a science or something? Isn't that what they say? And I'm going to do 1 tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half of cream cheese, which is milk-free cream cheese. Not quite sure what it's made of. I don't think I want to know what it's made of. I'm just going to put it in there. So I'm going to mash these. It's going to get really loud. And I'm going to try not to make a huge mess. So I'm finished mashing. I did end up using another tablespoon of the butter, but no milk. And then she wants garlic in them tonight. She asked me to put some garlic in them. So I'm going to do some garlic powder. Again, I'm not measuring. I just sprinkle. And some pepper. A little tiny bit for some flavor. Otherwise, they really don't have much flavor. And a little tiny bit of salt, which I think I put away. So I'm going to have one of my kids go get, okay, they're not going to get it. Anyway, so I'm just going to mix it up. She can put the salt on at the table. It's not a big deal. So, but look at, they're like a wonderful consistency, even without dairy. So now I'm going to do our potatoes. This is going to go in my oven, which I have warming on 225, and it will sit in there until dinner's ready. Now I'm going to work on everybody else's potatoes. I think she feels bad sometimes that she doesn't get to eat all that dairy. She did like it, so. The first thing I do while the potatoes are still whole and hot is I put my cream cheese in. I like cheesy potatoes, so I use 3/4, maybe a little less than 3/4 of a brick of cream cheese. Sometimes I end up adding more. I use always Kerrygold butter. I don't use icky butter in my potatoes. Icky butter, just regular generic butter or anything. I'll use that in baking or other stuff, but not in potatoes. I always use Kerrygold in my potatoes. And I'm going to put half of a scoop in there. And then I'm going to mix this up, and then I'm going to use Gruyere cheese. This is my secret ingredient. You can also use sour cream. Some people will use sour cream in their potatoes. That's fine too. I would just cut down some of the cream cheese and some of the butter if you're going to use a 1/2 cup sour cream. But this Gruyere cheese is so yummy, and I'm going to put that in last. It comes, this is the size that I use. I don't know, it's a little package. But this is a size. I'm going to grate it with a grater like this. But a fine grater, because we want it to melt right away, and we don't want to have to beat it in. We want to stir it in. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this. If I add any other ingredients, I will let you know. So I've mashed the potatoes, and now I'm just going to add that cheese that I told you we were going to grate. So I'm going to add that whole thing. Now I'm not going to add salt yet. I got to try them first, because this Gruyere cheese is a little salty to begin with. So you need to be careful with the salt unless you're a super saltaholic, which I am not. So I'm just gonna fold that in. You can beat it in if you want to. I don't. I just like to fold it in at the end so that it kind of melts nice. So, and I will show you the consistency of my potatoes. So they are lumpy. We like lumpy potatoes. I don't know. That's my potatoes. And I am going to try. I don't have a spoon handy, but I do have a knife, so I'm gonna. Oh, they don't need anything. They're perfect. Between the salt from the Gruyere cheese and the butter, they taste perfect. So I'm gonna throw these in the oven with the other ones at 225 until we're done making the meat. We'll come right back. So now we're going to dredge the meat. It's not really a dredge. A dredge is flour. I'm not flouring it. I'm seasoning it. So I'm going to do 3 eggs in here. Ooh, what is that? That's like extras. I think that's like part of a chicken. I don't know. Okay, but we're just gonna get rid of it. Ugh. All right. These are farm fresh eggs, which is why they're all different. Everyone is gonna look a little different. Oh, so I added 2 more eggs because they seemed a little small and we have to do all this meat. So I'm just gonna take my fork here and I'm gonna scramble them. Now I'm using the fork that came with my knife kit. You can use just a regular old kitchen fork. You can use a whisk. You can use whatever you want. Okay, so that's it. And then I use seasoned breadcrumbs so that I don't have to put a bunch of my own seasonings in it. But if you want to use your own breadcrumbs or plain breadcrumbs, you can do that too. You're just going to season it up then. This already has oregano, basil, and parsley in it, so I don't need to add that. So you're going to put quite a bit, but we're going to fill this a couple of times throughout the process. And I'm going to put a little tiny bit of garlic powder in it, just because we like garlic. Just a little, just a shaky, shaky, shake. All right. And then I'm not going to use the egg fork to mix it up, but I am going to mix that up. Okay. There we go. All right. Now you can use these, you can do the finger method. It doesn't matter, whatever you decide. I don't like to use my fingers. I don't like the big breadcrumb fingers. It bothers me. So I'm actually going to do all my meat. You're just going to put it in the egg. Whoops. And that's going to happen 100 times. And I'm going to put it in my breadcrumbs. I just make sure that it's all coated. Like, you definitely want it all coated. Now, sometimes I will put it right into my super hot oil pan, but today for this, I'm going to put it on this pan with a paper towel so that it doesn't stick to the pan. And I'm going to do it all at once. Normally I don't. Normally I do one piece at a time and I throw it right in the pan. It's just easier for me. Less dishes because I am the tornado. Which we did have a little mishap with the potatoes, and I made a tornado with the potatoes because I pulled the beaters up too fast. And don't do that. That's a bad thing. Okay, so I'm going to do all this meat. Oops. That's what I did. Okay, so that's okay. It's mom's kitchen. You don't have to, you can make a mistake. It's all right. I'm not getting paid. Now these are connected, which is going to be a bad thing for me in about 5 minutes because I'm going to spill them both. I got these little dishes, these little filling dishes here from Pampered Chef. That's where I get a lot of my dishes from. I really like Pampered Chef. And honestly, right now, I should be heating up my oil, and I'm not. So I'm going to finish up with this meat and do it all single, and then heat up my pan, and then I'll meet you at the stove. Okay, so I have my cast iron skillet heated up, my oil heated up. It's actually just a tiny bit too hot, but you're just going to place them in like this. And this is why it's so important that you make all your pork tenderloins pieces the same size, because if you don't, one's going to cook faster, one's going to cook slower, and then you're not going to know which is which, and you're going to have a raw piece of meat. This is not the meat you want to have raw. You're just going to fry them on both sides. We made them nice and thin so they cook really fast. You're going to fry them at, I have this on medium. I'm probably going to like adjust it throughout the cooking, higher, lower. You don't want it to get too low because your breading will get soggy. I actually put just a tiny bit too much oil in this, but it's okay. It's going to burn off really fast. I messed up, but whatever. It doesn't matter. We're at home. Who cares? Normally I would have this fan on, but it makes so much noise that I think it'll drown out my voice. And we know you all want to hear me. There were a couple things that I wanted to say to my kids right now. When I cook for them. I don't cook for me. I don't even care if I eat half the time. I cook to make my kids happy and my husband happy, and making them happy makes me happy in turn. So I love that God has put me in charge of my family, and made me the manager in this home. I'm definitely not a Titus 2 woman. I don't do all the things that I'm supposed to do, and I'm probably not the best at a lot of things, but I sure do try, and I think that's what God wants from us, is to just give it our best and try our hardest. So I'm flipping now. Don't overcrowd your pan. Don't overcrowd your pan. I think I might have said that already, but you want to make sure that you get a nice golden color on both sides, actually a little bit more than golden, and then you know that your meat is cooked through in the center. Sometimes it takes longer. I was saying about being a Titus 2 woman, I know when I first decided that I was going to stay home from work or work from home or whatever, it was very hard for me to decide that I needed to be here. So it's kind of neat that God has brought me a long way, and now I'm having fun and I enjoy it. I think my kids enjoy me being home. So, and I'm just going to fry all these up, and then I'm going to drain them on this pan, which has a double layer of paper towels. And this is my favorite pan. I got this at Costco, man. I have 2 of them. I love them. I use them for everything. Everything. So they're the best to make bacon in the oven on. These are fantastic pans to make bacon in the oven on. So I'm going to fry these up, and then, I don't know, let you see when it's done. I'm just finishing up frying the pork tenderloin. It's got to be, like I said, the nice and brown on both sides. Now the last pieces are always going to be a little bit more dark than the first pieces, just because the oil gets dirty. If that bothers you, you can always scrape out all the oil and start a new pan, but it's not worth it to me, and my family doesn't care what it looks like because it tastes good. So we'll get this all on, and then I'm going to show you a shot of the table when it's done and how we serve it, because it's a little weird, strange. Most people look at me and think that I'm absolutely insane for the way that we serve it, but I think you'll like it if you try it. Anyway, so I'll finish these couple pieces, another maybe minute and a half, and then we'll head over to the dinner table. So this is the end result. We're getting ready to sit down at the dinner and at the table and have dinner. So this is my husband's plate for tonight, and we just serve it with sour cream, plain old sour cream. We cut a piece off, dip it in the sour cream. Some like a lot, some like a little. There's no particular way to do it. The potatoes, we have butter on the table or gravy. I did make some gravy. I do have a couple of kids that just love gravy, so we made that. I'm going to pan the table and show you what we made. We made a nice salad. Katya made a salad for us. And this is how we eat just about every night, unless we sit in the living room and have a pizza or something. But this is dinner for us. So I hope that you are safe during this COVID-19 lockdown or quarantine, whatever you want to call it. Just sending you love from our family to yours. Good night.